Hello, Guyana. A pleasant Friday evening to one and all. I am indeed honored and happy to be in your homes this evening to share with you, to educate you and to sensitize you as to the happenings in our country, our beloved country, Guyana. But that being said, let me say a big good night to each and every one of you joining me this evening for yet another edition or episode of Let's Talk with Annette for today, Friday. Yes, it is a live program, Friday, August 4th, 2023. And, I trust that your day was well spent. I trust that your week began on a positive footing, and whatever you set out to accomplish during the course of this week, you were able to succeed. I know that earlier in the week, that is Tuesday, August 1st, 2023, we celebrated yet another or anniversary of emancipation. And, it is a celebration that African Guyanese don't take lightly at all. It reminds us of our struggles, that of our foreparents, and the path that they would have set for us so that we can be liberated, our minds can be set free. And, the late prophet Bob Marley, I'm a fan of Bob music, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None other can do it but you. And all that I would want to say to my African brothers and sisters this evening, that we have to continue to emancipate ourselves and do not allow ourselves to be bought cheaply, to be used as political tools and surrogates of a certain political party. So that being said, I just want to say a big happy anniversary to all of my African Guyanese brothers. Also, I want to remind you that for those persons who might have celebrated a birth anniversary, happy anniversary, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, or whether it was up in the week. So happy birth anniversary to you, and I wish you God's richest blessings for long life and happiness, right? I also want to take this opportunity to extend happy wedding anniversary to those of you who are celebrating a anniversary today, or would have done so during the course of the week, or will be doing so tomorrow. May God continue to bless your marriage. That is one important sacrament that God would have ordained for us for man and woman to marry and to enjoy a successful marriage life. That being said, I also want to express my condolences to those of you who might have lost a loved one during the course of the week. I pray that God will comfort you in this time of your sorrow. And just hours this morning, we all awoke to the sad news. Well, we were in the National Assembly when this particular incident happened last evening, just after, this morning, because it was, as reported, about after 12 midnight. Dr. Olato Sam, an educator by profession, a lecturer at the University of Guyana, and a current employee. I think he was a consultant with the Ministry of Education. He was working on this whole manual regarding school violence, as I read earlier in the news. Also, he was a former chief education officer at the Ministry of Education. I have known Dr. Olato Sam years ago. Dr. Olato, well, he wasn't doctor then. He was actually one of my lecturers at the University of Guyana when I was reading for my postgraduate diploma in administration, in education administration. And I must say that Dr. Olato Sam happened to be one of my lecturers at the University of Guyana. So I want to take this opportunity to extend my deepest condolences to Dr. Olato Sam's family, friends, the teachers and educators, students in the education system, and also his peers at the Ministry of Education. That was indeed a sad, sad, sad incident which occurred this morning. You're out socializing. I'm just repeating what I actually read. Out socializing and, killed by a stray bullet. So I just want to say to all Guyanese, as you go out there and you socialize, please do so cautiously. Kindly exercise care and consideration out there. You gotta be so vigilant. You have to be on the alert. A lot of illegal guns are out there in the hands of the wrong set of people. You will recall that under the coalition government, in order to get the illegal guns off the streets, we actually held, I think it's 2 sets of amnesty to have all illegal guns surrender so as to reduce the crime rate in our country. So, that's all I can say at this point in time. Please, as you navigate out there, as you go about your personal business out there, kindly ensure that you are on the alert and look out for one another. Try and be your brother and sister keeper. It is wild, wild west out there, right? In the streets under a People's Progressive Party civic. So I'll address the topic at hand shortly. So again, condolences to the family of Dr. Sam. I pray that Almighty God will strengthen you in this, your time of grief. And I just want to remind you of what 2 Corinthians 5:8 reminds us. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So may his soul rest in perfect peace and rise in glory. On the announcements, I also want to remind you that this program is actually being broadcast on Wednesdays now. But I didn't do so Wednesday gone because I was actually preparing for the sitting of the National Assembly, which happened yesterday, right? So next week I will not be here until Friday of next week because we have the last sitting before we go into recess next Wednesday, August 9th. So that will be our last sitting for this session until October. But may I further say to you that this program will continue. Recess or no recess, Let's Talk will be aired so that I can continue to educate, to expose the wicked People's Progressive Party civic and to bring the facts as they unfold and not propaganda, right? So also I want to remind you that continuous registration is on. Continuous registration is on, as I have been emphasizing every week on this program. It is our responsibility as adults to ensure that our young ones who will be 14 by December 31st, 2023, to get them registered. It is also your responsibility as an adult, whether you misplaced your ID card, whether you want to change your address, you never registered, please ensure you utilize this period to get yourselves registered so that you can have your name. Once you're 18 years and over, your name will be placed on the voters list, because you know your vote will be important to us returning to government. So the cycle for this continuous registration, or the period, will end on the 30th of November 2023, right? 30th of November 2023. I also want to take this opportunity in sensitizing you that the People's National Congress Reform will be hosting, or observing rather, the 38th death anniversary of our founder leader, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Yes, so his death anniversary will be observed come Sunday, August 6th, 2023. August 6th, 2023. So from August 6, 1985 to August 6, 2023. It is 38 years since our founder leader was called to higher service. I know every year the People's National Congress Reform, we observe his death anniversary, because he was Guyana's first executive president. He was the mayor, one-time mayor of Georgetown, first Minister of Education, and also the founder of the People's National Congress Reform. So if you don't have any place or anything to do, any place to go, or anything to do on Sunday, the place to be, one, at 7 a.m. at the Seven Ponds there in the gardens, the botanical gardens that is, and also at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon, the National Congress of Women, that is the women's arm of the party, will be hosting a floral celebration on Sunday afternoon at its headquarters there, between Vicingen and Public Road, Kitty. So if you're in that vicinity or in close proximity, an invitation is hereby extended to you, right? Okay, so this evening, our topic will be on, and it's on the bottom of the screen there, PPPC 3 years in government. Has your life improved? Has your life, well, I notice the operator has there changed, but I would want to substitute changed with improved, right? So has your life improved? But in order for us to have a conversation, and a proper one, I will dedicate, the question that I'm asking will be you to answer. So this evening, I will open up the phone lines where we can have a proper conversation, with substance, right? Because we have so much to discuss. But before we do so, before we examine the topic, I want to bring to your attention that the National Assembly met yesterday. Yes, we had the 66th sitting of the National Assembly. And when you talk about 66 sitting, what we're saying is whenever the National Assembly meets, that day is considered a sitting, right? So when you hear the word sitting, it refers to a day. And when you hear a number, whether it's 66 or 67 or 65, it means that we have met 66 times since the commencement of this 12th Parliament. Since the commencement of this 12th Parliament. And yesterday, for 2023 alone, yesterday we met 11 times. Yesterday we met 11 times from January 2023 to August 3rd, 2023. 11 sittings. 11 sittings. You know, they oftentimes will boast about a robust legislative agenda, but yet they're depriving your representatives, the 31 members on the opposition side, to meet regularly so that we can advance matters and issues concerning our constituents and constituencies. But you know what? When we have irregular sittings of the National Assembly, is that this government don't care because they do not want to be scrutinized by us, because we got questions, we have motions that we would want to have deliberated at the level of the National Assembly so that solutions can be found, you know, in a consensual manner to address matters concerning our people. Politics is all about people. How can we improve the lives of our people? But this is not happening under the People's Progressive Party Civic. So, yesterday, the 66th sitting of the National Assembly was held. And we started from 10 a.m. the morning, yesterday morning. 10 a.m. we started. And you know when we ended? We ended at about 3:30 this morning. So while many of you were asleep, making your probably fifth turn, your representatives were meeting in the National Assembly. And I'm going to tell you why, briefly. But before I tell you why the session went so lengthily, yesterday when we arrived in the National Assembly, I know the PPP well, you know, I could read them like a book, cover to cover, front to back. So we heading into a recess, and I know for a fact, that a supplementary paper was going to come. And if I were to bet anyone, I know I would have won that bet. But I don't do such things. So yesterday when we got there, another financial paper, my brothers and sisters. You see, these are the things they wouldn't go on live in Guyana, iNews, newsroom, issues in the news, Thursday agenda, and I think some other programs, they're getting it right to bring these kind of issues to your attention. No. So this is what we were greeted with yesterday. Financial paper number 3 of 2023. Schedule of supplementary provision on the current and capital expense estimates totaling $61 billion, 13 million 184,705. You hear me? Close to 62 billion. They're now coming to this National Assembly to approve more monies from the Treasury to supplement what they would have received in February of 2023 when the national budget was passed on the 3rd of February 2023. You will recall, my Guyanese brothers and sisters, that in the month of February, the national budget presented to this nation was passed without amendments for the sum of 781.9 billion Guyana dollars. You hear me? 781.9 billion Guyana dollars. After February 3rd, the Assembly did not meet in March. I think we had another sitting in April, and then we had the last sitting before the sitting of July 20th on May the 10th, 2023. So from May the 10th, 2023 to July 20th, 2023, we had about 71 days without the Assembly meeting. But before the lapse in the 71 days, we had 2 supplementary papers that were submitted. And these 2 supplementary papers total sum was $26 billion between the 2, because some came out from the contingency funds and the other some came out from the consolidated fund. And I trust, in future programs I'll be able to explain to you the difference between the contingency fund, why the contingency fund is there, and what it means, and what the consolidated fund means. So in a future program, I will, detail. But, so we had 2 supplementary papers after the budget passed in February 2023 for 26 billion. So we got 2 different figures. One, 781.9 billion. The second was $26 billion, right? Good. Yesterday now, this paper is now seeking some 61 billion and 30 million and change, right? 61 billion. So when you add up the 61 billion, the 26 billion, and the $781.9 billion, the budget alone for 2023 now stands at a total sum of close to 874 billion Guyana dollars. 874 billion Guyana dollars. Right? When you examine this supplementary paper 3, 55% of this 61 billion and change, 55% going towards the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. I know last evening I took to my Facebook page to share with Guyanese what this about 33 billion, I think it is. Let me get the exact figure. Yes, 33 billion, 376 million, right? 457,000, right? You hear? 33 billion, 376 million, 457,000 Guyana dollars. This is what the Ministry of Public Infrastructure is requesting come next week. And when you look at the areas or the description given for this 33 billion plus dollars, my Guyanese brothers and sisters, we got here urban roads. Urban roads. In budget 2023, they had urban roads, mean roads that are, the main, or roads within the city, or in towns. Those are considered as urban roads, or roads within the community. And there you have the main access roads are actually roads, like public roads then, right? Whether Mandela, Main Street, Regent Street, Kaifesta Avenue, Sheriff Street, those are public roads, right? So, urban roads are roads within the municipality or the NDC areas, right? So, 1,500 million was approved in budget 2023. Now the ministry will be requesting, come next week, an additional 1 billion Guyana dollars. For miscellaneous roads now, these are roads within communities and roads that might come under, we call it again, NDC controls and regions and so forth, right? For budget 2023, from the $781.9 billion was 31 plus billion dollars was approved in February. Now, they're coming back. Come next week, they're asking for 25 billion Guyana dollars. 25 billion Guyana dollars, my brothers and sisters. And when one conducts an analysis on the areas for which monies are requesting under the Ministry of Public Works, we recognize, where the bulk of money there, between the bulk of monies fall within the miscellaneous roads and drainage. $25 billion. Now, come next week, I hope the minister, the Honorable Bishop, will have an explanation for Guyanese as it relates to the initial voted sums, the sums that were voted in February without amendments. How much was actually spent, or what percentage was spent on miscellaneous roads when it comes to the initial 31 billion that was approved. So, apart from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, we have, let me see which other ministry. I noticed the Ministry of Water, Housing and Water, and for Central Housing and Planning Authority, they will be seeking an additional 500 million Guyana dollars. So apart from these two ministries, practically it's all the ministries coming back for more monies. All the ministries. Under Ministry of Education, I notice the Honorable Priya Manik Chan. is asking for additional sums to cater for textbooks. Well, I will have to go back to the Hansard, the official records of the Parliament, to see what was her initial response when these monies were approved in February of 2023. But you know, my brothers and sisters, what we find happening in the National Assembly is that when these papers like these are presented for additional monies, the Speaker of the National Assembly would normally be unfair to your representatives. Now, how can if I'm a housewife and I have $10,000 and I say, well, out of this 10,000, I give in so much to electricity, I will give so much to groceries, I will give so much to water, the phone bill, and any other miscellaneous activities. So if now the 10,000 isn't fully utilized and I got to request some additional monies from my better half, now he would want to find out, well, what you do with the first 10,000, how you spend this 10,000. Right? I'm just using an example here to draw home the point as to what really does be happening in the National Assembly. So, all like on miscellaneous roads, where 31 billion was approved in February, come next week Thursday, when they're coming back for the additional $25 billion, and we stand up to ask, well, let me know which roads benefited from this, from the first sum, the $31 billion. What percentage of the monies were utilized? You know, the Speaker just want to shut you up in your tracks. Is that democracy? When it comes to public monies, as members of Parliament, it is our responsibility, it is our right to inquire how monies were actually spent. Because at the end of the day, we as your representatives will have to come to you to say to you, this is how your tax dollars were actually spent. So this is not happening, and they always like to tout democracy and this and that. What democracy? Democracy entails good governance. It entails transparency, and it entails accountability. But I can say to you, those three elements cannot be attributed to the People's Progressive Party Civic, because they operate as though this money coming out from their bank account lying somewhere in Freedom House. Well, come next week Friday, come next week Wednesday in the National Assembly, myself and colleagues, we will be drilling. And if we don't get the appropriate responses we're looking for, well, you know, me mouth ain't easy when it get going sometimes. I'm not, I don't use bad words, I'm not that type of person. But where fairness and honesty is, I like those two words. Justice, I like that word. Transparency, I like that word. And accountability. Right? So, we will be drilling them next week. And you know the other thing I discovered on this supplementary paper? For the increase security services or increase security charges. Well, a lot of money will be going to security services. And if you, like me, driving around this country, we notice some familiar blue and white signs being posted at strategic places, whether government buildings, ministries, lands, private lands, and all kind of thing. Security, sheriff security. So I hope, and I know for a fact that some ministries, security services are being provided by security, such like sheriff security, Hussein's security. I tell you, I don't know where Guyana is going. So next week, Wednesday, this will be considered. You know, so as they prepare to go into recess, they got to get monies, right? And you will recall, just 2 weeks ago, $26 billion was approved for the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs only. And it was for the monies were actually from the low carbon credits. And my colleague, the Honorable Valda Lawrence, was able to drill Pauline Sukai. And I tell you, the responses, I mean, she has been a sitting member of parliament, probably close to 30 years. And you want to, you know, sometimes it is hurt you to hear responses, the kind of responses coming from a seasonal politician, the likes of Madam Pauline Sukai. She couldn't respond because they know exactly what they did with the monies, how the monies were disbursed, and whether communities really, the indigenous communities really got those monies. Because if the monies were disbursed in a transparent manner, but there's no need for you to hide. Come clean. But she could not provide the appropriate responses. So next week, this paper, the third supplementary paper, and I just want you to remember, 781.9 billion, 26 billion, now 61 billion, a total of close to 874 billion Guyana dollars. Yesterday, at yesterday's sitting, we had several pieces of legislation passed in the National Assembly. How these people so wicked. How they so wicked. You start a session from 10 a.m. until after 3 a.m. this morning. You have no heart, no compassion for the staff, the ordinary staff of the National Assembly. You have no compassion, no love for the staff at the Otter Chung Conference Center. Even their own drivers, they have no feelings for. Yes, as politicians, we have our role and function, and that is to work for the people of Guyana. But you cannot wait the last moment to bring bills that will come under review by the Caribbean Financial Task Force in September. These bills, like the Guyana Compliance Bill, was laid on the 20th of July, 2 weeks ago. Parliamentarians must be able to be given the latitude to do extensive research so that we can have reasonable presentations made with recommendations in the National Assembly. But when you, with your own incompetence, know that, well, look, You hold parliament for whole 70 days. But the last moment, you suddenly wake up and know that you have an obligation to these people because you're coming under review and come with legislation for us to just blindly approve of it without recommendations or proposed amendments by the opposition. We said, look, we ain't got a problem with supporting the bills, but our major problem is that, one, we got constituents out there that we will have to engage to inquire from them whether extensive or widespread consultations were held and what are their recommendations and so forth. We asked for the bill to be sent to a special select committee. The attorney, Mr. Anil Nandalal, had all sorts of excuses. You know, they like to blame us for everything. All sorts of excuses why the bill should not be sent to a special select committee. We had two previous bills that were sent to the special select committee, the planning and single window unit bill, and we had the radio active bill that were sent to special select committee, of which both sides of the assembly met. We put forward proposals. We were able to go through the bills clause by clause. Had the technical staff from the Ministry of whether Health, Housing and Water, and also the attorneys to come and sit with us. Let us go through. The consultants too. Let us work through clause by clause. When that was done, we agreed, finalized the report. The report was submitted to the National Assembly, the wide assembly, and passed without any fuss. But yesterday, we had the Guyana Compliance Commission Bill 2023 was passed. And in a subsequent program, I will discuss, briefly what some of these bills really mean when it comes into law. Because you, as members of the public, got to know what's going on, what laws are being passed that will affect your life, whether now or in the long run. We had the anti-money laundering and countering the finance of terrorism amendment bill 2023. This too was passed. We supported it. We said we had no problem. We hadn't any amendments to this bill or recommendations, but this was passed. Then we had, the data protection bill was slated to be debated last evening into this morning. Well, this has been deferred to next sitting. The other bill that was passed was the real estate and brokers bill, bill number 11 of 2023. That bill, yes, we had some amendments were put forward by me. And yes, perhaps we had some errors in the amendments. But oh gosh, man, our arguments were solid because we recognize that the real estate and brokers bill will be an unfair bill to many Guyanese who are operating in the real estate industry. And we said, look, man, we got some amendments. Even if we hadn't to approve of the amendments on the floor. Once the Attorney General and his colleagues had agreed for this bill to be sent to a special select committee, the proposed amendments, where it got incorrect wording or whatsoever the case may be, some of the clauses didn't contain definitions. Those things could have been worked out in the committee. But don't try to stand in the National Assembly and think you could insult Ferguson. You can't insult Ferguson. Because Ferguson didn't attend the University of Iflot. I went to the University of Guyana and got proper certification. I write nor plagiarize. I had nobody write my exams or plagiarize. I didn't plagiarize. So whatever I have before my name, I work hard for it. So these were the bills. Caller, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Annette.
Good.
Today on your program again.
Yes.
I think we must get more deep into education this nation. I think we should let the nation know specifically what was the core APNU national budget.
Yes.
Right on to when they had the last budget. What was their cost?
Yes.
We must remind people the strides that APNU make in terms of raising of public servants' salaries during that course of time.
Yes.
Then we must go back before 2015 and let us know what was the budget going down the line from 2015 back to 2011.
Yes.
These things are important for education and educating our people. And we must understand, when the APNU left office in 2020, how much was for a pound of beef? How much was for a pound of chicken? How much for a pound of pork? And how much is it now? Those are the issues that people, the ordinary people, have been faced with. And food is one of the main ingredients for people survival.
Yes.
Now, another point I want to make is that you have a lot of money going into the public health department. Hospitals now they're catering for the whole nation get sick. People use trust in the body and give them enough money that they could give themselves, feed themselves and sustain themselves instead of asking for billboards at the hospital and got people for man these institutions. You build buildings and let them stand up there. That was educating people. The thing with the schools and all this thing. You didn't give the teachers no money. And that thing what happened around the world. I noticed in some places the teachers there's a big strike and all kind of thing in one of them developed countries. And we got the teachers say, like September is up. Some teachers should not go to school.
Yes.
The classroom should be absent for teachers that let the kids accept that they're behaving badly. Another point is that when our finance minister was doing, was saying that the private school should pay some kind of taxes and things, and the pressure come now, we reverse. We retract on those things. These people don't retract on nothing. You know what I mean? This party leader, we had to retract for the whole time. These people don't retract on nothing. They own this matter, they own this place. And we got to do something about this.
Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome, caller. Well, actually, I must commend the caller for his contributions, as usual. But I didn't even touch the topic for tonight because it was actually discussing what transpired in the National Assembly. But with a few minutes I have remaining on the program, I will jump right in to the topic at hand, and that is PPPC 3 years in government. And to pick up from where the points raised by the last caller, he's absolutely correct, and that is why I stated upfront that this program, whether recess or not, will continue, because I have an obligation to educate and to sensitize the general public and to actually, expose the lies, the frequent propaganda that are being spewed by this uncaring and callous People's Progressive Party Civic. Yesterday, and I must let the caller know that I intend to go back and have an analysis done on the budgets of the people of the APNU AFC in government. And to show, thank you very much, Paul, I will also include that in my analysis to show where the prices were under the coalition government. We all would recall that under the coalition government, a tray of eggs used to be between $800 to $1,000. Now a tray of eggs is clocking $2,000 and over. I can imagine what will happen in come December, the Christmas period, when many housewives look forward to baking, the black cake. What the price for a tray of eggs will stand at. Perhaps, who knows? It might go over the 5,000 mark. Beef, cows. We got cows right here under the coalition government. Beef was less than $500 a pound. Now beef standing close to $1,000 a pound. Chicken under the coalition government was less than $400 a pound. You see, I can relate to these things because I'm a housewife. Right? So I can relate to these things. Now, chicken is going at $600 a pound. Cabbage, tomatoes that are grown right here. Cabbage is close to $500 a pound. Tomato is close to $700 a pound. So where are we? What is really happening in this country? And yesterday, the People's Progressive Party Civic celebrated 3 years in government. And as the question asks, has your life improved? Well, I can tell you, people that I know, they will tell you straight out, my life has not improved, MP Ferguson. Look what is happening. Cost of living in this country has escalated exponentially under the People's Progressive Party Civic. Under the coalition government, we give public servants over 70% increase in salary, not for 5 years, not in a 5 years period. 3 years, public servants enjoyed over 70% in salaries. What else public servants were able to enjoy? We reduced the pay as you earn taxes. It used to be 33 1/3, and we brought it down to 28%, which means that public servants were taking home more monies than before under the 33 1/3%. What else we did? The 16% VAT that they imposed on this country in 2007, and they promised in the 2011 elections that they're going to reduce it. Well, the 2011 elections came, Donald Ramatar did not reduce it. The 2015 elections came, well, you know that they were booted out of government. But we, the coalition government, what we did, an analysis. We put together a team, the Honorable Winston Jordan put together a team, and that team made several recommendations, of which we were going to incrementally imposed. So what we did, we were able to bring down the VAT from 16% to 14%. What else we did? Look at infrastructure development without oil money. Now they got the oil money, and what they're doing, they're wasting our dollars. The high cost of living. People can't eat 3 square meals, sometimes 4, on a daily basis. Me, today I only had 1 meal. I can't afford a second and a third. 1 meal I had for today. Things are hard out there. And this government continues to boast about what they would have done over the 3 years. Over the 3 years, as I said before, things gone up in the market. Public servants, only got 7% increase. I know a thing that they like to say, and I've written about it. They like to say that we in the coalition give we sell 50%. Well, you know me. Where truth is, I just expose you. Under the Granger government, since we had the adjustment in salaries, and I, Annette Ferguson, did not benefit from a 20%, from a 50% increase in salary. My other colleagues who served as junior ministers, we did not enjoy 50%. We got, I think it was between 90 to 20% increase in our salaries. But since the increase in 2015, when the public servants, they get it in 2016, 2017, 2018, and up to 2019, the coalition ministers weren't enjoying increases in salary. The one time we had, I wouldn't even say an increase, we just had, well, you could say it's an increase because it's basically an adjustment to your salary. But since then, never. Everything went to the public servants. That is what we did. That is what we did. What else have they done? This is their manifesto. This is their manifesto. They promise old age pensioners $40,000 per month. 3 years now into government. The old people, the elderly, they can't enjoy, they haven't received the 40,000 yet. What else they say here? 50,000 because we care cash grant. And the like say that you know that the coalition take away $10,000 cash grant. We never did. What we did, my Guyanese brothers and sisters, is this. Is that for the 2011 elections, in order to buy, you know, they feel that Guyanese like money. So we could bribe Guyanese and they go, you know, put the X there. So 2011 elections, they hastily approved by way of a cabinet document a 10,000 cash grant. 2015, you know what they said? They can't sustain it. They can't sustain it. There was a cabinet document signed by the now late Dr. Roger Luncheon, who said, collectively we can't sustain it. But when the coalition government came in, you know what we did? We reviewed it. And we recognized this thing not gonna work. When Mr. Granger was campaigning, the people said they want to go send the children to school, they want transportation. That's why we had the 5Bs initiative. So parents were saving more in their pockets because we were providing free transportation to get our children to and from school, whether by road or river. So they came in and they liked to boast. I tell you, these people are they're set up pathological liars. Everything they lie for, every single thing. That we took away the children grant, we never did. We never did. Over 20 boats, over 20 minibuses. What have they done? They've destroyed all those things since they came in. When last you see a yellow bus transporting children to school, whether here in Georgetown or in the other areas, Region 2, Region 3, Region 5, Region 6, Region 7 had a bus, Region 9 had a bus, Region 1 had a bus. When last? When last you see the boats in the rivers flying our children to and from school? When last? We provided books, breakfast, bicycles, and these things. And let me tell you something, the bicycles and the buses and boats were not born by taxpayers' dollars. They were not purchased by taxpayers' dollars. They were, you know, Guyanese who want to see our, you know, buy in to Mr. Granger's idea, initiative. And they supported, they came on board to help provide these things to get our children to school. A plan to reduce crime. This is what their manifesto promised. Over 3 years now 3 years in government. We still see crime escalating. Up to this morning after 12 midnight, Dr. Olato Sam shot dead. All the crimes were going on in this country. People coming back, being robbed, people's house being jumped, people being gunned down in the streets. What is really happening? You feel this government didn't care? All they care about is bringing papers like these to the National Assembly where they can get their hands, their sticky fingers into the treasury. And you think you're benefiting? We're not benefiting. Look at the roads in many communities. Look at some of the projects they have started. One man got in excess of 3 projects. The one on Cemetery Road, he's not even 50% into the project, $475 million. The same contractor who doing the Cemetery Road projects, doing Schooner Road, from Schooner to Crane on the west coast of Demerara. You can clearly see by the mere works out there on Cemetery Road, perhaps they don't have the manpower, the people don't have the experience, they don't have the capacity to get the job done. But this money is for the boys. I don't mind Guyanese getting contracts, but we must be able to ensure that taxpayers' dollars are utilized and spent in a fair way, not in a wasteful way. See, during school, they started, the same contractor telling you about, started a project under the Prime Minister's office, and I'm going to get all those facts. 20% or 25%, the contract ain't complete yet. It clearly says, and that's why under the coalition government, we said we made it clear, we had a policy. One contractor mustn't get 5 and 3 and 10 projects, because you're stretching that contractor thin. Yes, he may have the requirements based on the Financial Management and Accountability Act or the Procurement Act. He may have the expertise, he may have, as I said, the criteria. But then again, you got to look at timelines, deadlines. So that is why we were focusing on helping to build the small contractors. Not choosing Tom, Dick, and Harry, who used to guide, as somebody was sharing with me yesterday or early in the week. Imagine somebody who was a security officer now become contractor. So any Tom, Dick, and Harry under this People's Progressive Party civic, they hand in taxpayers' dollars to and tell them, go. Take this drain, build this road, put this there, put that there. You go in Lemaha Street from Vicinjan Road, way up to Milton Street. See what's going on there. I walked the area the other day. I know residents are saying to me, MP Ferguson, I know when last I see a walkman on this site. Again, waste of taxpayers' money. So they have no plan for infrastructure. In 3 years, they can't show us a plan for proper housing. They can't show us a plan to reduce crime. They can't show us a plan for national development. They can't show us a plan how the education system will improve. They cannot, because you know why? They're a set of visionless, inept, and incompetent people governing our country. What else the promise we? The promise Guyanese free education, free university education. 3 years. We still waiting for free to see to see free education at the university again, huh? But you know what? They're jumping out like frogs. Oh, so much thousand benefited from gold scholarship. But many are saying to us that nothing really happening in the gold scholarship. When last you hear them shout, oh, 2,000 and scholarships were given to X people in X region. When last? What else here? 50,000 low income house lots. Well, you know what? I heard Colin Crowell, the honorable member, stood in the National Assembly yesterday and boasted about his government. His government distributed 24,100 something house lots in 3 years. When that might be so, while that might be so, on the ground is a different reality. Because many of the lands that they have distributed, you take a walk. It's a 40 new housing schemes have been established under the PPPC government. Well, you walk in 5 out of the 40 and see where the people start building. 2025 gonna come and the 40 housing schemes he claimed to have been established under the People's Progressive Party city. Believe you me, not even 500 houses will be built. That is the reality. They said they're going to build 1,000 homes in Amelia's ward, Linden. Then they discover that the area where the land for the house lot supposed to be distributed is actually a bauxite area. This is what they're doing to poor Guyanese. I came from Linden today, or just before coming on the program, and I can tell you, you drive the Linden Highway a couple months ago, both sides going up were heavily vegetated. Now, certain parts being cleared. Oh, I want all these bushes gone. I would love to know who were the billing and who these lands, through lands and survey, who these lands have been allocated to. And when you got poor Guyanese, the people at Hillfoot who clamoring, pleading, the people at Maka who crying out, and the people, the hundreds of people who are yet to be given house lots. Since 1997, one woman met me the other day. She said, MP Ferguson, I'm sorry I didn't meet you when you were in our office. I applied for house lots since 2008. And up to now 2008, who was there? Not the coalition government. Yes, they like to boast that the coalition government only give out 7,500 and something house lots in 5 years' time. And let me tell you, Colin Cole and the others, we had 4 or 5 years, but we were reasonable. We said in our first 5 years, we're going to work for 10,000. We telling the people in 5 years' time, we're going to give them 50,000 house lots. When you know that cannot be possible. When you know that cannot be possible. So what you see happening now is that lands are being distributed to foreigners. A lot of foreigners operating in this country. And I would love to know when they apply. I mean, I'm not against people coming in the country and invest, because it would help to create jobs. The promised Guyanese, the 50,000 jobs. In 3 years' time, we're giving Guyanese part-time jobs, paying them at $5,000 a month. What a disrespect disrespect under this People's Progressive Party civic. Young people, you look at what is happening. Young people who are now leaving school in another month or two. Thousands of young students will be coming out from high school and secondary school. Where are the jobs for them? Come later on this year in November, thousands will be graduating from the University of Guyana. Where are the jobs? But you come to the National Assembly for more monies, and not one of the requests is saying to us as MPs that, well, look, we want so much billions to help train so much young people. Look, 31 of y'all in your constituency, please recommend at least 10 young people we could train them in the island gas industry. No, but we are coming to the National Assembly for its monies to build for infrastructural development, claiming you're building roads and bridges. When our Guyanese are suffering, when Guyanese youths are suffering, you promised them 50,000 jobs. Where are the jobs in 3 years' time? Caller, a pleasant evening to you. Hello? Good evening. Can you raise your voice a bit, please? Welcome to the program. How can you make a contribution? Pardon? No, I'm hearing you a little better. So kindly put your question, please, or your contribution. All right. Well, I guess you will call. Put your mind together. You can call back because I'll be wrapping up in 5 minutes time. Thank you. Good. So you promised 50,000 low income house flats. You promised 50,000 jobs. You promised public servants 50% increase in their salaries. That's what you promised. That's a dream. Y'all sold to Guyanese, but they're not stupid. Guyanese are not fools. They didn't go to school on Sunday. They went to school during the week, Monday to Friday. And if possible, Saturdays at university. Yep, what else they promised us, Guyanese? They promised us better management, renegotiation of the oil contracts to benefit all Guyanese. You would recall, Guyanese, under the coalition government, the beat we left, right, center, up, down about this contract. And it is them who said they're going to renegotiate it. Well, 3 years after, what are they telling me? What are they saying to us? They always like to say in the National Assembly about the 18 million US bond. And you know, at yesterday's sitting, how we siphon off the money, how we, another word they use, it's not coming to mind at the moment, but how we siphon off this money, or we conceal, this word they're looking for. We conceal the money. My brothers and sisters in TV land, and those of you listening to me on social media, that was never, it was never the fact. The monies were received and the monies were placed in an account at Bank of Guyana. No monies in Benin Ferguson pocket, or Winston Jordan pocket, or Granger pocket. The monies were placed in a special account at Bank of Guyana to cater for what? The Venezuela border issue. And secondly, portion of the monies were to be used to train young Guyanese for the oil and gas industry. But you know what? They never come and tell you that. Or you think they were able to make arguments and attend sessions, court hearings at the ICJ early this year, last year. It's the same money. When they came to government, they made $607 million US from the forest drawdown in Ireland. And the coalition, we left that amount of money. But you know what? They're not going to come and tell you these things. But four of us going to tell you the truth. And my other colleagues are going to tell you the truth too. We will continue to speak the truth and to expose the People's Progressive Party civic. So, I want to wrap up tonight. I know, as many of you ain't calling to tell me whether your life changed. But I know your life ain't change. Your life will improve. And for the next program, as the caller, as I encourage for me to do the analysis, bring the analysis to MP Ferguson projects from 2015 to 2019 for the coalition government, what it was like. Now the budget is drying down big on the aisle, from the aisle resources, and our lives have not improved. But in 3 years of this government, of this corrupt PPPC government, we had 2 times the raising of the debt ceiling. And I'm sorry I didn't walk with the information, so I can share with you. And I will let you know on another program what was the coalition debt ceiling for the 3 years we were in government, and what is the PPPC debt ceiling in less than 5 years. 3 years, 2 times the bar, 2 times the raise in the money. This country has been classified as a high-income country. But look what these people are doing to us. Borrowing. We ain't got a problem with them borrowing, but you got to borrow prudently. Show me your national plan. So if I know you got to raise it at ceiling or you got to get money, you got to raise it at ceiling, but it must come with a plan. Not bare, sir. So, my Guyanese brothers and sisters, you know, I can talk and talk and talk and share a whole lot with you tonight. But the program, the time this 1 hour is not sufficient. And if you really want to hear more from Ferguson, you could come on board, you know. You could help support the program. We will continue to educate you, my people, because it is programs like these that we have to use to bring you the truth, to bring the facts. But programs like these got to be sustained. And if you're willing to walk with me, then I can be easily contacted. So I want to say to you, my Guyanese brothers and sisters, this is all the time I have for tonight's program. As I said earlier, the National Assembly meets for the 6th or 7th sitting next Wednesday, is August 9th. And we will be heading into recess from August 9th until October 10th. Right? So while in recess, once I am around, my program will continue by God's grace and blessings. Because I will be on the ground doing you, the people's business. So with those few words there, I want to thank you very much for joining me this evening for yet another edition of Let's Talk with Annette. I do look forward to you joining me next Friday for another live program. May God bless you. May God continue to bless our beautiful nation, Guyana. Ta-ta.